Tonight, on Legislative Review, we take a look at what's coming up in the legislature. And medication abortion in higher education. Plus, a push to protect school referees from being attacked at sporting events. That's coming up on Legislative Review. Thanks for joining us on Legislative Review. I'm Angela Nolasco with your highlights of today's hearings in the legislature. January 27 through 31 is week 3 of the 2025 legislative session. It's the third week out of 6 weeks at the start of the session, when House and Senate policy committees hold public hearings on hundreds of bills covering a myriad of topics. Besides the Rules Committees, which schedule bills for action on the House and Senate floors, the House has 18 policy and fiscal committees, and the Senate has 14. Generally, each of those 30-plus committees holds 2 or 3 hearings each week, and at each of those hearings, multiple bills are typically on the agenda for discussion. Members of the public, along with lobbyists for various interests, testify at the hearings. They come in person and they testify remotely or by phone, using the legislature's system for virtual testimony.
We're sending a clear message to students. Your health is a priority. Your education is a right. And the decisions about your life are yours to make.
We start our coverage in the Senate, where the Senate Higher Education and Workforce Development Committee heard a bill that proposes to require medication abortion access to public colleges and universities. Senate Bill 5321 aims to have all student health centers at higher education provide medication abortion such as mifepristone and misoprostol through a public program for reproductive health services or through other delivery methods like telehealth. It would also require these institutions to maintain a website on reproductive health. Institutions without health centers will need to offer referral information to students seeking medication abortion, involving qualified health providers that are medically equipped and can lawfully administer medication. Democratic Senator Tawana Nobles of Fircrest is the bill's prime sponsor. She said it would address a critical gap in reproductive health care among students in public colleges and universities.
Currently, students face real barriers to accessing abortion care at our public institutions. Medication abortion is FDA approved, safe, and effective. Decades of research confirm its efficacy, making it a vital part of comprehensive reproductive health care.
Sullivan Taylor testified on behalf of Advocates for Youth, sharing her support for the bill.
At Clark College, more than 70% of students are the first in their families to attend college, and nearly half of students live below the poverty line. Forcing these disadvantaged students to carry a pregnancy and raise a child would have devastating consequences on their education. We must support their education and career goals, not create additional barriers.
Countering Taylor's stance, Students for Life SPU President Tiffany Blanco said that for pregnant students, abortion shouldn't be the only option.
I agree that college women need better reproductive health care and prenatal care, and they have that individual choice. But chemical abortion is not one of them. And it's a shame that this bill thinks that women aren't capable enough to work, bring life into this world, and thrive. It is possible. Please hear our plea that Washingtonians need something more for strong, capable, and brave college women.
The bill was also opposed by the Conservative Ladies of Washington and the Washington State Catholic Conference. If passed, Senate Bill 5321 would require student health centers to offer medication abortion in the 2026 to 2027 academic year.
The committee will come to order.
From the Senate, we go to the House, where the House Community Safety Committee convened for a public hearing Monday afternoon. The bill up for discussion, House Bill 1085, was inspired by the real-life story of Bob West, a school referee who was attacked by a student wrestler in 1996 during a heated exchange at a wrestling match. The attack ended West's career as a sports officiant. He suffered a broken neck and rib and a brain injury from which he developed memory loss. West had also undergone multiple surgeries and physical therapy. Since then, West has advocated for referee safety in hopes that sports officials would be protected by the law from similar assaults. In line with his efforts, House Bill 1085 proposes to increase penalties for school-related crimes of interference and intimidation by force or violence. The base penalty, considered a misdemeanor, is increased from $500 to up to $1,000, with almost a year in confinement, a jump from the current 6 months. A Class A felony violation currently has a fine of $50,000. It would also bar sporting event violators from entering the school's premises and student violators from sporting activities related to the crime for less than 18 months. Republican Representative Suzanne Schmidt of Spokane sponsored the bill. In her testimony, she talked about Bob West.
And it changed his life. He was disabled and wasn't able to continue as a sports referee after that incident. When someone is officiating a sporting event, they have their back turned to the crowd because they have their full attention to what's going on the mat or the court. And so they're in a very, very vulnerable place. Every person that has been a sporting official or a referee that has volunteered their time or been paid very little, or a student young, as young as 15, that I've talked to that have officiated a sporting event has reported to me that they have been verbally or physically attacked and intimidated.
Proponents of the bill say it would help with referee shortage and make students and spectators feel safer. Bob West testified in the bill's favor.
We're not asking to put people in jail. This bill would act as a deterrent. It's nonpartisan. It'd send a message that leadership in the state of Washington cares for them and the value of sport. So I'm asking that you give us your support and move this legislation expeditiously out of committee and towards a vote back to the House.
Max Kaufman of Team Child expressed opposition to the bill, saying it would turn minor incidents into life-changing consequences for students.
We represent youth across Washington state and see firsthand how unfair school discipline can derail a young person's future. HB 1085 would expand exclusions for extracurricular activities for 2 years, isolating students from opportunities that are essential for their growth. Consider, for example, a student who plays after-school sports to build up confidence. During a tense game, he argues with the referee. No threats, no violence, just frustration. Under current policies, maybe he's benched for a few games. But with HB 1085, this could be construed as intimidation. He'll face a 12-month exclusion, followed by criminal charges, and potentially another 12 to 18 more months of exclusion. So this is potentially years of lost opportunities.
While neither testifying for nor against the bill, the Association of Washington School Principals expressed some questions about House Bill 1085.
Who enforces the law? Who actually reports and pursues legal action? Does this just apply to athletic events, or would it apply to other extracurricular events where sadly some of these things do occur? Curious about the guidelines for all officials and making sure there's consistent guidelines for all officials associations for how to respond to elevated behaviors at events like this. And then finally, as you heard some of these things here, principals have concerns. They want to make sure they have the flexibility and professional judgment to respond to their students when it's regarding discipline and some of the consequences if there are. There are unique situations and they don't want to be locked into certain responses, so they appreciate that word may that is in the bill where they can use their own judgment as a principal.
The bill received a unanimous vote in the House last year, but it was not brought to a public hearing by the Senate Education Committee. Although we can't cover every bill with legislative review, we bring you some of the highlights each night at 8 and 11. Find us online on tvw.org, YouTube, and Instagram. For an audio version of Legislative Review, you can find us on Spreaker. That's it for this episode of Legislative Review. Make sure to join us nightly at 8 and 11 for your highlights on the state legislature. And follow us on social media. Have a good night.